very happy morning to all. Today we are going to discuss about another new topic in your 9th class biology, that is meristematic tissue. What is that? Meristematic tissue. In the previous class we discussed about different varieties of tissues present in the plant. What are that? Meristematic tissue, and what is the next one? Ground tissue, vascular tissue, and different kinds of tissues we discussed. Is it right? And today we are going to the first tissue. What is that? Meristematic tissue. Okay, if we talk about the meristematic tissue, here we have to discuss about a scientist. That was in the year 1800. A scientist named as Carl von Nageli. Who is he? Carl von Nageli. See here, children. Carl von Nageli. In the year 1800, he observed. Carl von Nageli identified a bunch of rapidly growing tissue or cells, a group of cells which are growing in rapid manner. He observed such kind of cells in plants like mosses and liverworms. In the root tips and in the shoot tips, he observed a bunch of rapidly growing cells, and he took a Latin word which is called as meristos. What is that? Meristos. It is a Greek word. Meristos is a Greek word which means division. Okay, meristos means division, and he changed meristot a little bit and he named the tissue as meristem. Okay, now we are calling that tissue as meristematic tissue, and this meristematic tissue is divided into 3 types. Meristematic tissue is of 3 types. What are that? Apical meristematic tissue, lateral meristematic tissue, intercalary meristematic tissue. Apical, lateral, intercalary meristematic tissue. I think you understand. Okay, apical, lateral, intercalary meristematic tissue. Then move to each and everything. Before going to discuss about apical meristematic tissue, here we are going to discuss about another activity in your second lesson. Here you have to take a beaker which is having somewhat narrow mouth. Okay, and here you may take a small onion. These are the roots of the onion. You just dip the onion into the beaker. The beaker is filled with water, and leave the onion about 4 or 5 days. And each and every day you try to measure the length of the root. Day by day the length is going to increase. Okay, if you observe the length daily, if you measure, then you may find a lot of difference between the root measurement. Okay, why it is growing very fast? Here in the tips it contains a tissue, a rapidly growing tissue. Okay, once if you cut about 1 inch from bottom to top, about 1 inch, if we cut the tips of the root, then the roots, the growth of the roots, it just stop or decreased. Okay, that is the experiment what we have to discuss in this meristematic tissue. First we have to take onion and try to insert the onion into the beaker till to the bottom of the onion. Now every day, about 5 days, we have to measure the root length. Then we are able to find the length, various changes we are able to find in the length of the root, because the tips of the root, it may contain a rapidly growing tissue. Whenever we cut such kind of tissue, then the length of the root or the growth of the root, it just gets stopped. Otherwise it may be decreased. Okay, is it clear? And further branches we may find to the same root whenever we cut the tip of the root. Then move to the next one. What is that? Apical meristematic tissue. If whenever we find a tissue which is growing in the tips of the root, then it is called as root apical meristem. Whenever we find a meristematic tissue in the tips of the root, then we call it as root apical meristem. Whenever we find meristematic tissue in the shoot, what is meant by shoot? Here shoot means stem. Then we call in the tips of the stem, whenever we find meristematic tissue, then it is called as shoot apical meristem. Shoot apical meristem. Root apical meristem, shoot apical meristem. Where they are locating? They are locating in the tips of the root and in the shoot region. Is it right? And what is the function of this apical meristematic tissue? Whenever we talk about the function of the apical meristematic tissue, it is very useful to increase the growth, vertical growth of a plant. It increases the vertical growth of a plant, mainly if it is present in the root region, it increases the growth towards the downward. If it is present in the shoot, tips of the shoot, it increases the vertical growth towards the upward direction. Okay, here it increasing the growth, vertical growth of the plant towards upward. And whenever we find the apical meristematic tissue in the root, it increases the length of the root towards the downward direction. Is it clear? Then move to the next tissue. What is that? Lateral meristematic tissue. Lateral meristematic tissue. You heard the word lateral, means this lateral meristematic tissue we are able to find inside wise of the stem. See here, if you observe, it is the stem towards the sides of the plant. Around the stem region, we find the lateral meristematic tissue, and it increases the width of the stem. Okay, it increases the growth towards the width side. Now, apical meristematic tissue, it is very useful to increase the height of the plant. And the lateral meristematic tissue, it increases the width. Width means this direction. It is increasing the width of the stem. Is it clear? And here, whenever we talk about lateral meristematic tissue, we have to discuss about cambium. We all know that vascular bundles, vascular tissue, which is very helpful for the transport of food and water. Inside the stem, here we may find cambium rings. Cambium rings, which is made up of lateral meristematic tissue. Year by year, annually, it increases the number of rings. Whenever we take a big log of wood or a trunk of a tree, whenever we cut and observe, when we observing the trunk of a tree, here we are able to find many rings. Okay, and these rings, whenever we are going to count the rings, it indicates the age of the plant, and these rings are called as cambium rings. Is it clear? Then move to the next one. What is the function of this lateral meristematic tissue? It very useful in the growth. In what direction it is increasing the growth? In horizontal direction. It is in the vertical direction. It is in the horizontal direction. It increases the width of the plant. Then move to the next one. Intercalary meristematic tissue or intercalary. Here, if we talk about a sugar cane, you people have interest to take sugar cane as your snack or something. While we are eating, we may find hard tissue in the middle of the sugar cane, which while we are eating, this region is very soft, but this region is very hard. Here, this hard region is called as permanent tissue. In between two hard tissues, we may find some soft tissue. That is called as intercalary meristematic tissue. Okay, is it clear? This one is also called as node. Between two nodes, we are able to find between the two nodes. This one is also one node, this one is also another node. Between the two nodes, we are able to find the intercalary meristematic tissue. Then what is the function of intercalary meristematic tissue? It also have ability to increase the growth of the plant in vertical direction as like a apical meristematic tissue. Apical meristematic tissue and intercalary meristematic tissue increases the plant height in vertical direction. Okay, the lateral meristematic tissue, it increases the plant growth in width size in a horizontal manner. Okay, is it clear? Here, intercalary meristematic tissue, it just present in between two nodes, and it also present near to the base of the leaves. Near to the base of the leaves. Here also we are able to find the intercalary meristematic tissue, and we are able to find that whenever the age of the leaves is over, then the leaves may fall off, shut down. The tree able to shut down its leaves by the help of this intercalary meristematic tissue. Intercalary meristematic tissue is also present near to the base of the leaf, near to the base of the flower, near to the base of the fruit. Is it clear? Like that. What is the function of this intercalary meristematic tissue? It is very helpful for the formation of new leaves, flowers, buds and fruits also. It just give a base for the attachment between stem and leaf, between stem and flower, between stem and fruit. Like that, intercalary meristematic tissue is also helpful for the plant in order to hold many things. Is it clear, children? This is about today's class on meristematic tissue. I'll meet you in another session with another new topic. Okay, till then.